the one thing about this, the breath is the great connector. I wanted to emphasize. I mean, we are connecting with what Hazrat Khan calls the God ideal. With what our continuing imagination of God's perfection, or the perfection of all that is, or of the essence of all that is. And, the formulation of it as the one contains everything, but it's kind of a flat expression of it, and for people to engage their heart in connection with. And people say, well, I'm not really moved by that notion of the one. But, perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being. That's the full expression of the one. Mm-hmm. The one is filled with all the divine quality. It's not separate from them. That oneness, which is transcendental and absolute, and never came into existence and never ended its existence, never will. That one is filled with all these perfections. Love, harmony, and beauty being the ones that, but they stand for all of them. But they're the ones that the world needs right now. And then the only being. So, what are we connecting with? We're connecting with that unity, which is reality itself, beyond words, beyond concepts, eternal and absolute. The thatness, suchness of God. And, but knowing at the same time that thatness is filled with all of these perfections and is the only being. It's the only thing that truly exists, which that means my knowing of it is it. It's the subject of awareness. It's not me here trying and being the object of awareness. There's no difference between subject and object because it's the only being. What can we move towards if it's the only being? It's the only being moving towards itself. Or as Murshid says, the eternal movement of the one and only being, the waves rising and falling back into that same boundless ocean of oneness. But this is two senses of the one, which are expressed in one of the practices that we're going to be doing, which is Ya Ahad and Ya Samad. I'll be giving that for people to do, and we'll work on it. But just briefly, Ya Samad is that toward the one. It's the one in that sense of that which you can, as Muhammad said about God, we've never known you sufficiently. And then Shamsi Tabriz says to Mevlana, who is greater, Bektashi or Prophet Muhammad? He says, what do you mean? Bektashi, Prophet Muhammad? He says, well, Bektashi said, I am the one, the exalted, the only being. And Muhammad said, oh Allah, we have never known you sufficiently. And he says, well, he says he was drunk from one grape from the vine. And that's the voice of that intoxication speaking. But it is, you're not separated from it. You need to feel that connection. But at the same time, you're always flowing into it, and that's the yasamad, the eternity that is continuously flowed into, never ending, like you're moving toward the horizon, but the horizon is always retreating from you, and you're just always approaching it. I think there's a word in mathematics for when you can only approach, you just only keep approaching it and approaching it and approaching it. Yeah.
That's the total.
Yeah, that's right. That's the word. Yeah, thank you. And it's kind of like that. It's eternity, but it's the eternity that is the one that you're continually flowing into, that is unending, eternally. And then there's the one that is like the dot. that nothing is outside of. And that's what it said. Muhammad said all of the Quran is contained in the first surah, and all the first surah is contained in the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and all of that is contained in the Bismillah. And then I think Ali came along and said, and all of that is contained in the letter B, and the dot under the B. It's all connected in the dot under the B. Because the dot, is the one. So the one, nothing is outside of that oneness, and it all unfolds from understanding that.